Hello, my crafty friends. Tonight we are making a card from the Craft Roulette Challenge from episode 326 that aired on July 3rd of 2026. The wheel was so kind to me this week. How Mr. Wheel knew that I needed a dude card with some sleigh ride colors and some farm critters and some pen details. I don't know how he knew it, but it worked out perfect for me. I sketched out my idea that had in my head for how I would do these parameters for a birthday card for my stepfather. This card will feature multiple different stamp sets from different companies. I will be utilizing Henry's Build a Sentiment from Lawn Fawn, some paper from Pink and Main Spring Ginghams patterned paper. I'll be using the Pecking Order from Unity Stamps, Tiny Words Birthday from Simon Says Stamps, and then Perfect Birthday, which was a combo with Lawn Fawn and Simon Says Stamp. The first thing I was going to do was break down my card. I like making A7 cards. There's lots of real estate on them. I can have a nice border and still have a small image in the inside. It's just a hardy card and I really enjoy making them. For this card, I wanted my panel to be truly 5 by 7, so it covers the entire back panel. First up, the stamping platform. I don't know about you, but having different stamping platforms has really changed the way that I've craft because you'll see later on here, I cannot free range stamp. It's chaotic. The Stamp-A-Majig worked if you're a seasoned crafter, you will know what a Stamp-A-Majig is. It was the only way we can actually get some things to line up and be able to stamp over it again if you messed up the first time, which was always so scary. Well, anyway, so I have my Misty here. I do use a sticky mat in the inside of my Misty, but you'll see that I did put a piece of tape down inside my Misty in the top corner so that I can peel that out when I'm going to be using my red rubber stamps. So in this example, my chickens are a red rubber stamp because they have such fine detail. It is just chef's kiss. Beautiful. With my chickens stamped, I always use this as a prime time to clean my Misty because, how often do you actually clean it? I mean, you kind of wipe it down every once in a while, but cleaning, I don't know, that doesn't belong in a craft studio. At least I don't think it does. Okay, chickens are done. Stamping sticky mat is placed back in there again. I'm ready to start stamping again. When I first started making cards, I thought that when you had a stamp set, you had to use only the images inside that stamp set instead of smashing things up a little bit. I'm giving you permission if you're a new stamper, smash it up, mix it up, do whatever you'd like. These little chickens, they look like they were talking, so I wanted them to say little sayings, and that's why I have my tiny sayings that I'm going to be putting in there. And so I gave them little speech bubbles so I could put that information in there. These two companies aren't typically placed together, but is a perfect use of mismashing and smashing up your stamp sets. Dig in there, have fun, be creative, go crazy. Next up was stamping my sentiments inside the little bubbles. I could do them all at one time using a stamping platform. One of the best things about that, I don't have to worry and I can restamp things if I need to because I do need to re-ink my pad. I know it. Will I do it? Nope. I'll probably wait probably another maybe month before I go, oh, I really should re-ink this. Yeah, I know. You're like me. You can totally relate. All right. I just want to talk a little bit also about the positioning of my image. When you look at the picture or on the screen, you can see that my chickens are a little down lower, not really centered. And this was intentional. I am going to be die cutting this panel out with a A7 die to make it a little bit smaller. A7 cards are not scary. The best part is after I crop this down with some dies, my panel is going to be 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. What size is an A2? 5.5 by 4 1/4. So really, is it that much bigger? Not really. So whenever you see that parameter on the wheel, don't freak out. You are just making an A2 card. It's just a little skinnier and a little bit longer. That's all, especially if you're using a nice border around the outside of your picture. While I was die cutting my image out, I also die cut a black panel that I will use as a mat so that it really stands out. It gives a nice contrast between my back pattern paper and then the image itself. Next up was color time. I'll be coloring with Olo markers here today. For the majority of the card, I typically only use two tones, one dark tone and one lighter tone. I wanted my card to have very subtle color to match the color of my stepdad's chickens. While I'm completing the simple coloring here, I want to talk about dude cards. I treat my dude cards just like I do any other card. When I'm making a card for someone, I want it to reflect something personal about them. I'm taking the time to make this card for them, and I want it to reflect what I know about them. For example, with this card, originally I wanted to do a old truck, just a old vehicle, because my stepdad loves doing restoration on old cars or old trucks. It's just one of his favorite hobbies. And I was like, oh, that'll be perfect. That'll be on a farm. And then I started thinking about it a little bit more. And then farm critters came up, and I'm like, oh, he loves his chickens. I can't even tell you how many chickens they have. I really wish I lived closer because I could have farm fresh eggs whenever I want them, but we live a little further apart, so I don't get them. Anyway, he loves his chickens and he has all different varieties. So even though these chickens look a little more cartoony or childish, I thought they were perfect for him because they, one, look like they're squawking at him, which they do that. So I figured, why not give him some words? So making a dude card is really simple. You have to know the one thing about that person and really harnessing it and building off of that. You can make something special that's meant just for them. All right, let's go back to the card. I am adding a little dimension underneath my little thought bubbles only because I wanted them to stand out. I knew I was not going to be putting any embellishments on this card. I wanted it to be pretty flat besides the thin foam tape that I'm going to be utilizing a little bit later. I also wanted to ensure that I didn't have any harsh lines. I wanted that pale blue to go off into nothingness. For that, I just went around the edges with my zero or my colorless blender just to smooth everything out. I then took a fine liner and added a fine stitch detail in black to give it some separation. I wanted something to frame the card itself. Finally, I went in and made my own spatter. I thought about spattering the card itself with some ink and then went, no, I don't feel like cutting out masks. And how would I cut out a mask to match the chickens and the thought bubbles? And that seemed like a lot of work. So, plan B, go in with your pen and give the illusion of spatter, and it's very controlled. I also darken the eyes of all my critters or characters because I feel like that brings them to life a little bit more. Well, as we know, I cannot for the life of me cut something straight. So why would I be able to color in an eye in a complete circle like it's drawn? It just doesn't happen. So I take the white gel pen and I'm able to put that little white dot back in there. And then my critter's eyeballs are just staring at you and are so expressive all over again. I prepped a 10 by 7 piece of paper to be a 5 by 7 card by scoring at the 5-inch mark on the card itself. Before I folded the card, I did some stamping and I did some free range stamping. Don't worry, I edited out the first mistake. I was much better the second time around. And I added my sentiment to the inside of the card. Don't worry, you'll see it. It makes your eyes go goo goo. All that was left to do was to assemble my card. I placed some foam tape on the back of my card panel, and then there's my mistake. You can see it. I tried to fix it. It was a hot mess. I missed a spot and I tried to go back in and line it up perfectly. Yeah, right. I don't know why I thought I tried. So I just covered it up with the panel. No one will ever know besides you and whoever else watches this. And my stepdad doesn't watch my videos, so we're safe there. He won't know that I did it. Oopsie. So I applied my chicken panel to the black cardstock mat with some very thin foam tape. I wanted just a little heft to it to give that little bit of a pop, but I wanted my card still to be able to be mailed. And finally, I glued that panel to the card base. Ta-da! Card was complete. So let's see if I actually made all of the parameters. First thing I had to do was find it in my book because why would I keep it tagged or open? Why? I don't know. So, first up, let's see. I made a project. Yep, I made a dude card. Did it. Sleigh ride colors. Well, I got the red of the sleigh, the green of the holly, the blue of the icy blue, icy snow, and gold bells. Check. For random, we had a pen. Well, I didn't have a pen stamp, but I did a lot of pen detail. I did spatter and a border. So check. And then finally, I did some farm critters. Those are definitely chickens on my stepdad's farm. It's perfect. Finally, I go through the opposite page and make sure that I have everything written down that I needed and used in case I wanted to do this card all over again, which honestly, I think I have to, and I could do some snarky comments on top of it. You could have lots of fun with these chickens. Another week has gone by that Mr. Wheel could not stump me. If you like this video, please take the time to hit the like button and or subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.